Thank you so much. Hi everybody. This is my first video with someone as handsome as this in the video. His name is Harrison. I've known Harrison for so long. We were in drumline together.
How long?
2000. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's 13 years. Whoa. Wow. Dang. So over a decade.
Did we miss our high school reunions?
I know. Wait. So yeah, Kelsey and I have come to visit them for the 4th of July, and you know, Harrison is married to Jilly, who I've known even longer, probably since I was like 12 or 13.
Wow.
So,
what is that, like 17 years, bro?
Yeah, it's a long time. And they have had a daughter that Kelsey and I have had the amazing opportunity to be godparents to. So, but we never see her, so we're out here.
Does she seem different?
She seems a lot different. She's
like,
well, last time we saw her was when she was, what, like?
Not even a year, I don't think.
No, like 6 months.
So I guess if she wasn't any different, that'd be kind of concerning.
6 months and she's just like...
She still can't hold her head up, dude. Like, what are you doing?
How old's this child? 12.
Yeah.
You know, we came up here and I just wanted to make a video because I think the last time I saw you, and I think a lot of people don't know this update about you that are probably watching this video, he started a business. He moved up here, how many years ago now?
We moved up here to Vegas 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and he's already made a company that has insane projections for like the next couple of years. Do you want to tell him a little bit about that?
I have like 13. Oh, he didn't do it. 13 employees.
We're closer to the camera because there is a condensing unit that just kicked on in the background.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but you might be able to hear it. It's pretty loud.
Yeah. So, okay, let's do it again. Harrison, tell me about your company.
Well, my company's about 4 years old. Right now it's July 5th, so happy belated Independence Day, everybody. So we were 4 years old in the beginning of May. I moved here from California in 2017. It was on Valentine's Day. When we moved here, I just pretty much was like, what the hell am I going to do? You know, and I don't know what it was that really piqued it to just kind of start doing it. But I interviewed at 2 places and I just wasn't excited about it. And one of them, I was a little bit excited and they wanted me to do a management position, but it ended up being just not, it wasn't in the wheelhouse. I felt that it wasn't going to work out. So I went on to Silver Flume, which is Nevada's business portal.
Yeah.
And I think me and Scott went back and forth for about a week on names. And because we do electrical contracting and software development, so what name could that work with, you know? So we came up with Electricode. And it was something that we were on the fence with at the beginning, but it's grown on me, and it just looks right.
Yeah.
And
no, it's a great name. I've always been like, dang, they did really well with that one.
I should probably be wearing my hat.
You're right. Cut, and then just like you're in that same spot, but I just go get your hat.
Oh wow! Thanks, everybody. But yeah, every time I start thinking about how we got here, it's a little bit blurry for me.
Yeah.
And it was literally like I made a table, and I took a labeler, and I just started going on the table. This side's the electrical department. This side's the software department. This is the stapler. That is my computer. Like I was just like labeling everything, and then I had a file folder, and I'm like, I need to be ready for this to get like crazy.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone in my family thought I was kind of goofy for doing everything I was doing.
Mm-hmm. And you did this with Scott, right?
Yeah, well, for the first year and a half that I was doing it, he was partially doing a little bit.
Okay.
He wasn't full-time with me. So the first year and a half, it was mainly electrical that was driving everything.
Yeah.
But we did have a couple of what we now call integration projects going on,
Okay.
which is where we use the electrical and the software department to make something.
Okay.
And we've done that many times now for some pretty high-profile customers.
Nice.
One of them is just opened in Orange County on July 1st.
See, oh see. Okay, sorry.
That's Planet 13.
Nice.
And everything else has really been like, I started in my Kia Rio hatchback, and I was putting 10-foot sticks of conduit in there, wire, boxes, everything. Go there, put my tool bags on, go, I want to do a ceiling fan. You want a ceiling fan? Let's do a switch, let's do an outlet, let's do some stuff in the backyard. Some Ring floodlights were pretty hot ticket items, or doorbells, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just started like that. I mean, I went door to door, which everyone who's done that before knows how fun that is. And I remember there was a day we went and made some brochures, and me and Scott just went from where we made the brochures, went like 2 minutes around the corner, and walked into a warehouse, and it became one of my biggest customers at that time.
Wow.
And they still use me today. They just, their market share out here went way down in the service that was providing me with so much business at that point.
Yeah.
But other partners of mine still do those services. So like walk-in baths,
Yeah.
remodels in bathrooms, remodels in kitchens. Just going out there and looking for partners that essentially sell for us,
Yeah.
and they utilize us in every project.
Wow.
And that's been a huge component that's been driving our business.
So you went from throw it all in your Kia, I'm gonna do everything, to now, like, you're in the office most of the time.
Yep.
You got a guy that you trust that is managing guys that he's responsible for.
Yep.
That's crazy. In 4 years.
Yeah.
In 4 years, I think most people, including myself, would be like, that's gonna take me 20 years, that's not worth it. So one of the big reasons why I wanted to make this video was to ask you, like, myths, right? Because there are some people that are watching this video that are like, I know what he's talking about. I know what it's like to start a business,
Right.
and I know that it's hard, but it's worth it. And here, there's people that understand what you're saying. But most people, I think, that are watching this are like, starting a business is so far away from my reality that I can't even begin to, like, I maybe even those people stopped watching, right? Because they're just like, those dreams that they have of starting something is so far away because it's so impossible seeming. And I think I've fallen in that category quite a bit until recently. I guess I could start a YouTube channel. I guess I could make music. But I think there were some either myths that I believed or things that were holding me back. And I just wanted to ask you, for people watching, what are some myths that are probably holding them back?
Well, the first one would be money. That you need an investor, you need financing, you need a loan, whatever it is. You need all this money to start the business. And I think for most people, that's the exact wrong thing to do, because you're probably not going to know how to manage the money. And that's one of the things. And the second thing is you might be devaluing what it is you bring to the table. You don't know what you're capable of, and it depends on what kind of business you're trying to start too. Mine, there was a decent amount of overhead, but I was able to offset it with the services I was providing, and it was just me. And I just was going out there really hungry with brochures, my license, my cards, and myself.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give somebody a service, and I felt really, really confident in doing that. And I don't know how to always offset people that might listen to this and just go. Somehow he had an advantage. Somehow there was an advantage. You know, like I didn't have any money. I didn't have any mentoring. I didn't have the experience, maybe. You know, I was afraid of all those things.
Wow.
You know, I didn't feel qualified, but I talked like I was qualified. I just, this is going to work. You know, even if something bad happens.
Well, I remember, you know, like the confidence you had when I saw you was almost like a different Harrison to me, because I had seen you in drumline, which you had like a very subtle confidence because you were very good at snare, but I didn't see much of that. After that, you know, you were just working. It just seemed like you were good at it, but when I started talking to you about this company, you were just like so sure that you would be, that it would work. And I was like, man, I hope he's right. Because if it doesn't, that's going to be very hard. But yeah, so okay, I love that. The first one is, I don't have enough money to start. You needed some money, you needed to invest some money, but it's not as much as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, it wasn't, and I don't even remember how much it was, honestly. I took some classes before taking my tests. I mainly needed to study the business side of it, and then I just wanted to sharpen my pencil on the trade the trade side.
And that was to get your license.
Yeah, my master's license in Nevada.
And that was in order to build.
That's
legally.
in order to have just to have a license to do contracting, and then you need a certain amount of money in your bank account relative to how much the dollar amount of the jobs you're going to do is. So I had a monetary limit at that time of $10,000. So I didn't need very much in the bank at all. I believe it's 20%. So 20% of whatever your monetary limit is what you need in the bank at all times. I went from 10,000 in 2017, and I believe in 2018 or maybe right before 2019, we went to 245,000.
Wow.
And you know, we still needed 20% of that in the bank, right? So we kind of borrowed from Peter to pay Paul and did our finances and increased it, got some bigger jobs, was able to take on more bandwidth, and it just worked out. The main thing that drives me is just going, well, it doesn't matter, it has to work. You know, it's just it's like, yeah, I'm scared, yeah, I'm nervous, sometimes I don't sleep well or whatever. I think about my employees, I think about the bank, I think about the bills. You know, until you're dealing with it, it's hard to picture. You know, and for me, if I was just handed a company that was doing what it's doing right now, I'd probably be playing catch up, just going, oh my god, what the hell am I doing? You know?
Yeah. So not starting from A, starting from like K.
Yeah, and when I start hiring people, I've done everything that they're doing. You know, like I know the electrical work. I had to do the accounting. I had to do the invoicing. I had to do the accounts payable. I had to do the licensing. I had to do all of the permit, just everything. Now when I delegate that down, I might not be the best at it, and hopefully I hire people better than I am at these roles. But I know when it's wrong. I know when maybe they don't know what they're talking about, because it's like,
because you had to do it.
Yeah, if I know it and you don't know it, you're not supposed to be in this, you know, like, because I don't even consider myself really knowing some of this stuff.
Totally.
But there's just not a time that you can, at least that I can look back on going, yeah, I was ready. I wasn't ready. There was never a day I woke up and there wasn't a ton of things to do. Like, and it was, you know, easily 14 to 16 hour days. I almost dropped my cup. Easily 14 to 16 hour days, you know, and I'd try to make it 5 days a week. Sometimes it'd be 6 or 7. And some customers, I needed to do the work on the weekends. And also, at the beginning of doing all of this, I was starting Electricode and had a full-time job at the same time.
Dang.
So I was working weekends, Thursdays to Mondays, 24 hours a day, servicing ATM machines and making like nothing. But I took a pay cut doing all of this. I was probably making $85,000 a year in California, being a journeyman electrician, and came here and easily cut it in half. And in the amount of time that I was in California trying to buy a house, which was years, I did it in 8 months here. Started my own business.
Wow.
And
That's crazy. Wait,
just
say that
again. In all the years I was in the professional world in California trying to make enough money to buy a house,
Yeah.
it took all that time, never got a house. I had a 900 square foot apartment.
Yeah.
But when I dropped everything, started Electricode, was working out of a garage in a Kia Rio,
Yeah.
within 8 months of starting that, I had bought my first house in Nevada.
Wow.
Yeah. And now we're at my second house.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. I mean, like, I guess that would be another thing that was pretty crazy when you told me, like, where you started here and where you are now. Because when you moved here, you weren't as comfortable as this.
No, not at all. I was living in my in-laws' kitchen. And
In the kitchen?
Yeah. For 8 months. It was me, Brody, Putty, my cat. Brody's my dog. My wife, and we were sleeping on little cots in the kitchen.
Wow.
And Electricode, I put a split unit in the garage.
Yeah.
And Electricode was being created in their garage. We started here in February. Electricode was started in May. And I had my own house in October.
Wow. That's crazy.
So really, I guess that's 5 months from Electricode's real inception.
Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
You know, it took a couple months to get up to, we have the license, we have everything lined up. But there isn't a formula.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. the other myth that we've been talking about this weekend, because we've been talking a lot this weekend about all this stuff, Harrison and I. And the other one that I kept saying all weekend was, I don't know the right people.
Oh, that was actually
I don't
another
have the
one.
right relationships.
That was another one of them. I lost my train a little bit earlier. But yeah, definitely the financial burden.
Mm-hmm.
If you have kids, if you already have a house, if you have a bunch of bills, whatever it is an excuse, you know. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't need to make the excuse. You don't need to start a business. But if you really want to do that, you can't let those things stand in the way.
And those shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe once you're having these conversations, you're working your way up to having a business.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be having connections and knowing people, whether you want them to mentor you, they know something in the trade that you might ask them about, whether it's, for me, it was, how much do I charge? How do I know how much I'm worth? How do I know if I'm too expensive or too cheap? Because I need it to grow, so I need to charge as if I have more than myself to build on it, you know?
No, that makes sense.
But I mean, when I moved to Las Vegas, I knew nobody here other than my in-laws, and he didn't really know anybody. At least that would help me do anything.
Totally, yeah.
I had a few people that I felt comfortable to call if I had a weird question. But it was usually just solidifying what I already kind of thought.
Oh, it's like just confirmation.
Yeah, and I didn't ask it that way, but it was like, okay, I think I know what to do here.
Yeah.
And that was a thing I'd tell all apprentices that worked with me, was get good at asking questions and, meet us halfway, if not further. I get this. This part is what I want to talk about. And have something to talk about.
Totally.
When you see this and you have this happen, what do you do? This is what I do. And I often found people giving me kind of a roundabout answer.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you don't really know.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and it's or you don't remember. Like for me too, I'm starting to find out there's things I don't remember about how we got where we're at.
Yeah.
And it would take me hours of talking about it. I mean, it's been 4 years, but it's been so much has happened. From starting in that garage to starting in my first house. The whole first floor of my first house was my business, and I ended up building out like tables and like off the wall of where we'd all work, and it was just me and a handful of people at that point. And it was actually December of 2020 when I hired a bunch of guys, and I'm like, dude, this looks like it's working. And for the longest time, I just go, you never know, we'll see. Yeah. Because I felt really confident, but I didn't want to like say it. I didn't want to be like, yeah, we're just gonna kick ass out here. Yeah. Not a problem,
Right.
Because I've seen that be a problem. And it's really just applying so much of what you do and don't know about yourself.
Yeah.
And reflecting it in your business. And it's taken this whole time too to really dial in what the vision is, what the mission's going to be. You know, we didn't have a solid business plan, even really now, in my opinion. I think anyone would look at our business plan and they go, yeah, this isn't really a business plan. And they're probably right. It doesn't mean we're not going to get to it. It doesn't mean that it's any less worth.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff, it's just they tell you to get it out of the way in the beginning. You know, there's a few things you have to do, like your organizational chart, your...
like legally? Or...
Well, the ownership, like you start a company, okay, who owns it? Oh, this person at 100%, or these 4 people at, 25% apiece, or whatever it is.
Right.
There's certain things that do have to be worked out in the beginning. And that can all be a detriment to the business too. If you have a bad partner, it worked out that my father-in-law wanted to do this with me, but this took years and years and years. Like 4 years of the business, I still count more years than that to get it to where it is. Because,
really?
When I was a first-year apprentice, I was asking people, "Why don't you have your own business? Why wouldn't you start one?"
Like you started, like the gears started to turn about it.
And I remember a person I really looked up to that brought me into the union and helped cultivate my relationship there, and gave me pointers here and there, I asked him why he didn't start one, and I almost heard like the fear of why, and it's like, you gotta put your house up, and if something bad happens, it's just all gonna go away, and you're gonna lose everything. I'm like, you hear those stories, and it's not that it can't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's a level of obsession you need to have.
Okay, yeah, that was the next thing I wanted to get to, because, well, before we go there, 2 things. Just for like people watching, for me, YouTube, I just kind of was like, honestly, it started because someone was like, "Hey, you and Kelsey made this like song. Can you put it on YouTube?" A friend of mine said that, and Kristen Smith from Life Point Church, and she was like, "Yeah, can you just put it on YouTube? I want to listen to it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll throw it on my YouTube like channel. I don't have any videos there, but I'll throw it on there." And then my brother-in-law started making YouTube videos of just like thoughts he had, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like there's so much content going on in my brain anyways." I was like, might as well just start. Had no clue. Then it's more recently that my friend Nicole, she started her own YouTube channel maybe a couple years ago now. I mean, she's already a partner, right? She has like 1,700 subscribers, and she has like consistent viewers. And so I called her up. I said, "Hey, how did you do that? I think I want to try." But it didn't start, it didn't start that way. But it was something I was super passionate about. But a lot of it actually is YouTube. Like I would go on YouTube and be like, "How do I make thumbnails?" I'd go on YouTube and be like, "How does this work?" And there are people on YouTube that are explaining exactly how to do a lot of things. I want to start making shirts for my music. So I was like, how much is a screen printer? How do you start a screen printing company? And I just YouTubed it. Yeah. And like, you could find that. So I guess like one thing that I would tell my viewers is like, if you want to start a company, very likely there's like thousands of YouTube videos about it already that you probably didn't even have when you started.
I still don't utilize that at all.
Yeah.
I don't usually look up stuff like that, but I don't know. It's a level of obsession had to be there, and
that's right. That's kind of what I wanted to ask you about and that's kind of like one of the big last things that I wanted to talk about was the passion you have for this. What are the pros and what are the cons of being obsessed with something like this? Because it's obvious you're not going to start a business if you're worried about the money. Like you said, if you're worried about the money or the experience, really, all of the stories you hear, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, all of them, they're just so passionate. They have so much drive for this one thing What are the pros and cons of that, would you say?
Well, the pros are it's very difficult to fail, I think, ultimately, because I think you can only fail so many times, and you start knocking on that door, and you just be persistent. So it's like somebody who's so obsessed and driven, I think it's hard for them to fail. But if they get okay with failing and adjust and pivot and get better and be okay with that,
Totally.
It opens the door for so many things. I mean, I've had plenty of times where something went wrong, whether somebody fell through the ceiling on a job, or I was working in a panel and got complacent and it blew up in my face.
Wow.
480, high voltage stuff.
480?
You know, just a fall or a slip, or you cut your hand open, like whatever, and you just kind of go into that adrenaline mode, maybe, or just like, this is going to be fixed. I'm going to work my way through this. You know, I'd clean, like I had somebody put their foot through the ceiling and a bunch of blown-in insulation fell through the floor, or fell through the ceiling and landed all in the living room. And I didn't stop cleaning that place till the cleaning lady came up and said, "Dude, stop. It's cleaner than when you got here."
Really?
It was just because I needed that. Because I also, you know, I think like a lot of people want to be recognized for things.
Yeah.
And wanted what my morals were as a business owner and what services I was providing to mean something, and to just have something larger to reach up to, have something bigger to compare yourself to, whether it's yourself yesterday or whatever it is you're trying to start or build, and just seeing that and focusing on it. And I liken it to having my thumb on the pulse of Electricode and just listening to it. But you know, the pro is it's just you're so driven and you're just trying to build something, and you can get lost, you know, kind of lost in there in that, which can sometimes turn into a con.
Yeah.
Where your life is revolving around you. And you know, I'm married and I have a kid and I have another one on the way.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
It can be kind of hard to open your eyes and look around.
Yeah.
And realize, dude, it's flying by. Everything's flying by. But it's all in good time. Like, you need to allow yourself the time, but have that urgency of feeling like you don't have any time. That's how I felt. I'm like, you know, I'm 28, and I don't think I even realized how much time I potentially have. You know, of course, something bad could always happen.
Totally,
but
totally. I think COVID has made both, like, anybody realize that. Like, there's really not much, like, you know, there's, whether or not, like, you have been personally affected by the death toll of COVID, it for some reason has put this shift in people's minds. Oh yeah, a pandemic could happen at any time. I'm gonna make music. I'm just like, oh dude, whatever. Like, if I fail, I fail. If the 480 blows up in my face.
But you can't be doing it for the money. You can't be doing it for recognition. You know, if you want a pat on the back and you need to be thanked, or you need, and I'm a person that typically needs that. But if you can get used to just, I'm doing this for myself, so I need to try to recognize when I've achieved something and not just move on to the next thing.
Totally.
I have a tendency to just go, you know, I'm focused on something, I just want to get over this hill, I got over the hill, cool, where's the next one?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, hold on, like, can you clap for yourself or give yourself a pat on the back?
Well, it's funny because in our conversation, you're talking about, you just finished up Planet, what's it called?
Planet 13.
Planet 13. You just finished it up, and like, you were telling me, you were asking, like, hey, where's the next one? Arizona? And like, I didn't really hear you say, like, that was huge for us.
Right. And it was. I mean, we have a lot of partners like that where I'm like, I can't believe how much the phone rings.
Wow.
I can't believe how much work comes in. Every time I think, what's coming up? Is there anything coming up?
Yeah.
Then 10 phone calls come in. I go, oh, okay, it needs to slow down. You know, but I'm a huge proponent of just taking your passion everywhere you go. And like I said, I feel like I've been thinking about starting a business for over 10 years.
Over 10 years, okay. So,
Well, I'm sorry. It's been over 10 years. So I started it 4 years ago. So I guess at the time I was starting it, I had been thinking about it almost 6 years.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is there's been more time that you've been thinking about this than you actually going from living in a kitchen to owning your own home because of the company.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, that's huge to me. That's really cool. So I guess before we like end off, is there any other myths?
A lot of it just dances around experience, who you know, and money. I don't think I had to anybody else from the outside looking in any of those things. You know, I had to prove it to myself, and I had to prove it to everybody else, it felt like. And that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know. I at least waited till I turned out of the union and spent 5 years in the apprenticeship doing electrical.
Yeah.
And for someone else that might be going to college for 5 years, or for somebody else that could be some other trade, or who knows? It could be traveling other countries for 5 years. Whatever you got to do to get you to where you're doing what you're passionate about, and you're just a passionate, driven person. I think it's hard to say that you would have an issue. You know, businesses will fail, but it's usually, I think, somebody that where they're lacking in knowledge, they're also lacking in drive. You can't lack in both. You know, you can just be such a hardworking person and not that knowledgeable, and you'll do so much better than someone who's really knowledgeable and not driven. You know. So
drive, yeah, that's crazy. Well, thanks, Harrison. I really appreciate you doing this conversation, especially, you know, I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while now, and we've had hours and hours and hours this weekend to talk about it, so I'm sure we could talk about it so much more, and I would want people to hear a lot more of what you've been telling me all weekend. But I would like to kind of condense it for the people that aren't that interested but want to just take something home. So I'll say something that I want them to take home, and then I want you to say a sentence or two about what you want them to take home from this. I personally, as you were talking, I thought about my pastor Rick from Saddleback Church. He said something a couple weeks ago in one of his sermons that I think encompasses what you said. He said, at first, if you don't succeed, then you are human. And that is just like, me and Kelsey are just like, oh yeah, like that's a part of the process.
Right.
That is my biggest fear of starting anything, is failure, but it's a part of the process. So that's the biggest thing I heard from you. Now, yeah, what do you think? What do you want them to take home?
So for me, one of the things as well in starting the business was, I've always told myself that the passion and the positive and the excitement has always outweighed the being scared or being nervous or anxious of what could happen. And a great takeaway for me would be to get yourself on the right track sooner and figure it out along the way. And for me, when I started Electricode, it was just getting on that track, and you could stumble a bunch of times, but you're still on that track. You're on the right track. And every time I felt that I wasn't on the right track, that's when it lit a fire under me of going, oh, well, I need to be on the right track or I'm not going to get there. So it's just that first step. That's you know, you take that first step and then things start to domino. You know, so if you're serious about doing anything, whether it's, I just want to write music, I just want to start a business, I want to bake a cake, like whatever it is, you know, go out there and get some powder, go out there and buy a guitar, go out there and just think of what you want your business to be. You know, go to the beach and draw it up.
Totally.
You know, and start with step one. Just allow your mind to go there and be okay with it.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Well, I will put Harrison's YouTube channel in the link below. You know, he has a great band called Subtle Station that he is doing with Scott and Scott Eisen. And it's incredible music. They're gonna blow up for sure. They write hits. So go check that out. But the main reason I'm putting your YouTube page, Electricode's Instagram, and you know, all the stuff, all the social media stuff down here, is that if you are interested, if any of the things that Harrison told you kind of made something click, I think it would be helpful that he hears that. So just go
awesome.
Shoot him a message like, yeah, you know, that one thing you said really got me. Anyways, thanks again, Harrison. Thanks you for this weekend. It's been awesome. But yeah, I'm excited to continue working with you in everything, music, everything. And hopefully maybe that song we wrote this weekend.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna finish that one up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So,
well, thanks for including me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Right on.
See ya!